Well, hello everyone. This is Co-Pastor Elena Robertson, and I'm here with Dr. Rhoena Haithcock. And we have been anticipating another opportunity to be able to come and to share and to encourage. We know we're reaching out to parents, to teachers, educators, family members, even students, to be used as a vessel to empower you and to help to stir you in the direction that God wants you to go in this season. We know that we are dealing with so many things that we've never dealt with before. We're getting ready to, and for some of you, you've already embarked into the 2020-21 school year for your child. And some are beginning to get ready to get into that just around the Labor Day season. And we just want to make sure that you're in God's perfect will. And there's so many things that are being affected with all the changes that have happened. We have things that, of course, school does not look like it used to look. Home does not look like it used to look. And so we're just trying to figure this thing out. I'm here to tell you, me and Dr. Rhoena, Dr. Rho affectionately, that we're going to get through this because God is on our side and He is our helper, and He will lead us and guide us. He will not leave us hanging. He knows the plans that He has for us, and they are of good, not of evil, and they are to give us an expected end. And so we're praying that as we share information with you during these sessions, that you'll get that opportunity to get settled with the truth about your life, your child's life, your family life, your home, and you'll be able to navigate through this with peace, with joy, and knowing that everything's going to be all right. And so, so please settle your hearts as we take this opportunity to share with you. And so, Dr. Rho, I know that we've had a previous session with you where you had an opportunity to share who you are, but I want to give you another opportunity just to give us a brief bio, if you will,
yes, ma'am.
Of who you are and your background in education.
Well, greetings first to all of you. Many of you I've had an opportunity to meet face-to-face or over the phone. And as you know, my background is centered on child development. I have a degree in early childhood through adult education. I have been a program early childhood daycare director. I've been a teacher in the classroom, Bellevue Elementary School. I've been an adjunct professor, also a principal. I have also been a school administrator, overseeing various programs to assist with the quality of what our state of Virginia is asking. I am currently functioning as a child development specialist in the area of coaching, of counseling, of consulting, and mentoring. And again, I have spoken to some of you over the phone. You have reached out via email. And so here I am again, and we will be meeting many, many more times. We need to be very mindful of what our co-pastor just shared in her prayer. And it's something we need to remind ourselves emotionally, socially, as well as spiritually. And that is, all is well. It is well. Just saying those words, it should provide you with a great peace, because we have a bishop and a co-pastor who is so ready to ensure that we are empowered. We are empowered with the tools that we need to be equipped to stand, to walk, and to rest in the midst of this confusion that's happening currently in our society, in our world. And now, here we are. Last time I spoke with you, we were starting into our summer. I've had an opportunity to tutor many children in math and reading during that time. So I've stayed connected with some of you as parents, hearing your concerns. And if you remember at that time, when we had our first podcast, we focused on the social, emotional, and spiritual needs of your child.
Yes.
But if you remember the content of that podcast, it's centered on us, it's centered on you, on me, as a parent, as those who are willing to support our children during this time. That social emotional aspect is what's going to equip us and help us to keep us steady, to keep us focused. And as our co-pastor generates various questions or concerns, we are believing and praying that it will be an opportunity to answer some of your deepest questions that you may have. When you're looking at the emotional needs, you need to look at yourself and how are you coping right now? Who
Yes.
are you listening to?
Yes, that's good.
That voice. Who are you receiving that advice? Who's helping you to develop the trust that you need at this time that whatever decision I've made, God is going to guide me through it? That's the emotional piece. The social part of this, as parents and teachers, we're speaking to you as well. Please be mindful. I have been a teacher from I don't know how long, and I'm still a teacher. And one thing I know that's so vitally important as a teacher and administrator when it comes to social development is connection.
Mhm.
So parents
Yes.
connecting with our ministry, connecting and embracing what our co-pastor and how fervently our bishop is just ministering on the importance that you're equipped, that
Yes.
we can get through this. That's
Absolutely.
connection.
Yes.
Teachers as connection. Just this summer, I've had an opportunity to reconnect with teachers I hadn't seen or taught in many years. And when I say taught, I was their mentor, I was their coach, and so they've returned. Dr. Rho, what do I do?
Yes.
I don't believe I'm healthy enough to go into a classroom, but yet I don't want to stop teaching. So I'm going to go with the viral teaching, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like. When
Yeah.
it comes to the social piece for our children, parents, I want to use this moment to remind you that our children's behavior and their voice or expression about how they feel comes from how we have modeled,
Yes.
comes from how we have either connected with them and allowed them to share their fears or concerns, or we've informed them that you don't need to be worried about that. And
Right.
those are the kind of things that either will open them up to trust you, to prepare them to be steady, even in this midst of uncertainty. And
Yes.
when we use the phrase uncertainty, no one knows.
Right.
No one has the answer as to, is this going to work? And for those of us who are educators, I already know what you're thinking. What is the outcome of this going to be?
Mhm.
What will next school year look like based on a whole year of dealing with something like this? Because assessments will come back around. Examining the quality of what we're doing, it may be stagnant right now, but for the state that we live in, they're going to want numbers. They're going to want to know, how did we fare? So teachers, even for you to stay connected emotionally and socially is so vitally important. And as a Christian educator, one of the most important parts of this social emotional development is our spiritual development. Where are you?
Yes.
How steady are you? How sure are you in knowing I don't have all the answers, but I know where to go?
Yes.
And so I'm okay. I'm equipped and I'm ready to move forward. So what Co-Pastor and I would like to do is to kind of keep that social, emotional, and spiritual foundation in place.
Yes.
Just a brief little overview that we just did. You can go back to the first podcast and get a little bit more. But you examining yourself in each of the
Yes.
areas. Remember, Dr. Rho called it a self-check, a me check. And I keep doing me checks constantly. That's your foundation. It will help you as we begin to move forward and talk about these various topics. And that's the social, emotional, and spiritual development of where we are.
Yeah, it's good, Dr. Rho. I appreciate you talking about a key point in that being connection.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that connection also lets you know that you're not in this thing alone, and I think that that's what a lot of parents, may sometimes fall prey to think that, okay, oh my gosh, I've never done this before. But when you recognize that you have a community, a church
Yes.
community, people like yourself that, are more than willing to be available to, that you can reach out to. And I think, I know for me, I have three older adult children, and I can remember going through dealing with school with them. And I was one that was a little more shy and not as vocal as I probably should have been, and reaching out to administration and reaching out to teachers. But I learned as they grew older to shift from that, and as you mentioned, it's more important now than ever before to have that connection with the teachers,
Yes.
even administration, to reach out to them, to ask the questions that you may be asking and you may not be getting answers for. You have that
Right.
right to do that. And so whether you're sending a email or you're calling, do what you have to do to maintain that everyday connection so that you won't feel like that you're going at this alone.
Yes.
And it's going to really help you. So the other thing is that we're all pretty much in the same boat for the most part,
Yes, we are.
So to feel
Yes.
like, okay, you're out there and you're trying to survive all alone, no. So there's two ways. You don't feel alone because you have those who are out there that can help you, but also don't feel like you're in this rat race where, okay, you're going to be so far behind and everybody's going to be so far in front of you. No, we're almost pretty much in the same boat. We just got to learn how to work what's going on in
Absolutely.
our respective situations.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that, Dr. Rho, we talked about the different aspects of mental health. And for me, that's a big thing, and I think I've become even more aware of it as and just really assessing a lot, as you mentioned about doing that self-check,
Yes.
and that can
Yes.
be a little tough at times to
Mm-hmm.
recognize that you have to turn the searchlight on yourself to say, okay, these things that you're seeing, what have you done, like you said, to contribute to it, and then, but
Yes.
not only assessing that, but being willing to go the distance to say, now what do I need to do to
Right.
make adjustments if I need to? What do
Yes.
I need
Yes.
to do better than what I'm doing? And so,
Yes.
for me, that's one of the things that I had to learn. It kicked in during that last part of the school year, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to school to learn about parenting, even though I've had three adults.
Yes.
And for
Yes.
me, it was awakening for myself to recognize that you can't take the same things that you did 20 years ago and apply it to this. Some things have to change. Now, principles stay the same, but our methods and our ways of doing things. And I've learned that as a parent, there is a lot of things that I didn't quite do right. Some things were just pure survival. Some
Yeah,
things were, it worked, but it wasn't the best method,
absolutely.
and so those are things
Absolutely.
that I had to come to terms with, to say, okay, how I'm dealing with my youngest one,
Mm-hmm.
who is 11-year-old daughter, Mariah. How I'm dealing with her now, I'm have to take that responsibility to make those adjustments so that you know it won't have a negative lasting effect on her.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
have that within our own power and with our own hands. And so I wanted to just take this time, and we're going to have more sessions where we're going to go even
Yes.
deeper into dealing with the mental health aspect. And it's no doubt that you know that certainly we can't just say we as adults are going through some things. We have to recognize that our children are too. And what
Yes.
you said about, oh, it's
Yes.
going to be okay, get over it, you can't use that method.
No.
You have to really engage with the children. So can you go into a little bit more detail about working with our children emotionally and the effects that they have experienced with the
Yes.
pandemic, with the school system now being totally different than what they,
Yes.
have known it to be?
Yes, ma'am. Parents as well as teachers, when we begin to look at where our children are emotionally, we need to center this on emotional wellness for our children and not
Yes,
emotional devastation,
it's good.
not emotional illness or concern. We want emotional wellness. And
Yes.
that emotional wellness piece is something that should have been considered. Teachers, as you decided, I'm going to be teaching virtual online, or I've decided to go back and do face to face, or even participate and assist with homeschooling. You should do again a self check. You should evaluate yourself and make sure, have I made the right decision for who I am, where I am emotionally, where I am socially, and where I am spiritually? That's number one. And then number two, for parents who have made the decision, you need to be able to say, this decision was based on where I believe my child would flourish the best. If I've chosen that I'm going to try the homeschooling, then I know my child. I know their attention span. I know their ability to be able to sit within a small group, an area, and stay focused and organized, and that they are aware of the materials that are going to be expected for them to use and to become more familiar with. So you have to look not just at your chronological age. This is a piece that I remind teachers as well as parents. We have two different age profiles. We have a chronological age and we have a
Mhm.
developmental age.
Right.
And they both don't seem to connect sometimes. And we need to be mindful that even for our children, they may be chronologically one age, but parents, our decisions, our willingness to connect and our efforts to connect with them must be based on their developmental age,
Mhm.
their ability to listen, to pay attention, and follow directions, and be very transparent about it, be very open and honest. If they aren't there, they aren't there. During the summer, I had an opportunity to work with one particular child that I noticed, and it frustrated the parents, but the child needed to stand up and move after 8 minutes, after 8 minutes of focusing. Because I was doing Zoom teaching, I could see how the family responded to the child being wiggly and not attentive, and they wanted to become frustrated and tried to correct them. And I had to caution them that as the teacher, it's my responsibility to know that style and to know what your child needs to ensure that their ears are still open and their eyes are still open. But he had to stand up. He needed to be able to stand up, bend over, and work and be able to move a bit.
Yeah.
That means you respect the needs of the child. Teachers, even for you, you're expected to be organized and ready day one. But if you're uncertain of the curriculum and the material, this is the time that you seek God. Administrators don't expect you to have all the answers. They expect you to be organized. Our children will learn to be organized based on us, which
Yes.
means by now, many of us have made a choice, be it face-to-face, homeschool, be it virtual. The first key responsibility now is to make sure you're going through some kind of routine and role playing. With hand washing, if they're going face to face, you know how they respond to having to wear a face mask. And even for you, even if it's homeschooling, their materials, the books, everything they need, those are not play toys. Those are not things they should be playing with and not understanding. I have an area and I have materials and I'm practicing my daily routine. So parents, if you've selected virtual learning, that doesn't mean that your child should be sitting in front of that monitor with their pajamas on. It
That's
means
good.
that you should have a schedule, that they get up, brush their teeth. This is a
Yes.
school day, and I know what time I'm supposed to be in my seat. I know my pencils and my paper, or my feet are ready if they're younger and they start off with music, or whatever it may be. By now, you should have had some contact with the teacher to give you some idea of what the daily routine is going to look like.
Yes.
But parents, it's still going to fall back to you, because one key issue that we need to be aware of is that you have personal responsibilities of your own. And if you're doing homeschooling or virtual learning, you need to be mindful of, how do I balance these schedules?
Yes.
How do I work it so my child understands that at a certain time, even if the teacher is calling it recess time or whatever it is, if it's a break time, that if it isn't you, you have set up a team effort with someone else who will stay connected with your child to ensure that there's some kind of routine. Order and routine will be the success, regardless of the child's age. As they get older and the content areas require even greater attention, parents, if our teens and adolescents are at home doing virtual learning, an adult needs to hang out in the wing, not under their nose. You don't
Right.
need to be in their face. But God knows you should be somewhere where you can just say, I'm checking in. Do you need, making sure all is well and that they're staying focused. We are entering unknown territory. However, our teachers and school programs need to see us as knowing, when I don't have the answer, I know where I can go to get the peace and the calmness I need as we work through this, there will be an element of unknown and uncertainty, but that element of unknown and uncertainty should not be in your home.